everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. Present live.
EyeHeardTV. Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Welcome to EyeHeardTV, where culture meets awareness and awareness brings change. This episode, we jumping right back where we left off at on this disappearance of Miss Nancy Guthrie. Last time we was here, we broke down the interview with the sheriff department and the FBI agent. And we also went through their timeline and pointed out a bunch of red flags. First one being the timeline between her being in the garage and that doorbell being disconnected. The footage of the doorbell, where was that? Was there any cloud storage? Debating whether she had a subscription or not. We also went over the pacemaker app, and it was determined that the family wouldn't get alerted in a situation like that. It would probably alert a local clinic or doctor office or something similar to that. Then we still were left clueless, all up in the wind about a suspect, the who's done it. Remember, we had nobody, then we had the Uber driver, then we had nobody, then we had Tim, who we don't want to talk about still. And if you ask me personally, I think but I ain't gonna get into that right now. Then we had a super issue going on nobody was talking about. It was some kind of discord going on with the sheriff department and the FBI the entire time. In that same press conference, neither the FBI agent or the sheriff would take ownership on who was running the case. They would answer certain questions about this aspect. One would answer certain questions about that aspect. No one agreed. And the sheriff also kept hinting that he's willing to work with anybody. It doesn't matter. He's willing to work with any outside source. He mentioned the president sending help, and he's willing to take that help. Sound like a political game. Sound like he don't want to hurt some friends of his feelings or something. Because most people may not know that Arizona is a top Democratic state. We got to know that. I don't want to play Republican, Democrat, and I don't want to play it. I just want you to know the facts of the matter. So that's why he's saying little nuances like that. Like he'll work with anybody. It don't matter. Some of the best of the best. And when they couldn't handle the case, that's why he reached out. That's a lie. He never reached out because he's playing a political game. Don't forget, I showed you Savannah Guthrie was the first one that interviewed those Epstein victims. And she was one of the first ones reporting on a lot of things surrounding Hillary Clinton and a lot of scandals she had going herself. And we can't forget her husband, Mike Feldman, worked with the Clinton-Gore administration. We can't forget these vital points. They look like nothing, but these tidbits gonna mean something down the line. Back to the sheriff, maybe some of those could be swaying how he's treating this investigation. I mean, they're bringing up a lot of good points that it's temperament towards the case is telling a lot, but they also trying to bring the point that they don't investigate that many murders. Doing and knowing how is two different things. That's two different things. Just because they don't have many murders don't mean they don't know how to investigate a murder. The things they did was so careless, it seems weird. This man kept going back to the crime scene day after day, saying that Monday morning quarterback, looking back at it, if I could, we would have did things differently. What that mean? Of course, something went all the way out the way. So bad that the FBI don't want to talk right now. They sending nothing but forensic people onto these media platforms right now, and their technology team, different type of analysts, nothing more.
Under his leadership, the scene was not secured properly. We are now understanding that the FBI wasn't called in until several days later, that the scene itself was compromised. This is bad leadership, and I can tell you this, that I've been on the ground here for like 10 days now, and I've got pretty good sources in the area when it comes down to how this sheriff is viewed. And he is viewed as a vindictive sheriff, that he has, in actuality, gotten rid of some of his most experienced people, including on the homicide team. The homicide team here is, they don't get that much experience because I think last year there were only 5 murders as opposed to Tucson, which had like 50. So to be a homicide detective requires a great deal of time and education, but experience. Well, he got rid of his most experienced because he had disciplinary problems or personal problems with them. Same thing with the pilot of the airplane that needed to be up immediately in the search and rescue. He got rid of the pilot and assigned it back to another assignment. He was their pilot. And in all reality, he is not viewed as an effective leader. He's viewed as a vindictive leader. And we're seeing that, I believe, because he hasn't given a press conference since all of the criticism that arose from his other press conferences. And this is bad leadership. The people have a right to have some transparency.
Yes.
Of course, you don't want.
The sheriff leading the search to find Guthrie is in hot water after being seen in the stands of a college basketball game yesterday while the investigation is still ongoing. Chanley Painter is here with the very latest details. Good morning, Chanley.
Hey, good morning, Griff. So Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, who we have been seeing lead those press conferences in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, is now under scrutiny after being spotted at a college basketball game last night, nearly a week into the search for the 84-year-old mother and grandmother. You can see him here near the front row of the matchup between the University of Arizona and Oklahoma State, where only a few minutes after the game ended, Savannah Guthrie and her siblings shared a third video message pleading with the possible captors to return their mother. The person who took this video of the sheriff at the basketball game told Fox News Digital this, quote, "This whole thing being so fresh and nationwide, maybe worldwide, I don't think it was a good look for him to do it. He's a major part of the investigation, so it didn't look good to me. Very sad to see him at the Arizona basketball game."
Pima County Sheriff's Department has blocked key evidence to the FBI. We're talking about a glove found inside Nancy Guthrie's house along with some DNA. The FBI wanted that evidence so they could take it, analyze it themselves, send it to Quantico to get some faster return. The Sheriff's Department decided to keep that evidence and send it to a private analyst firm in Florida.
Investigators found a black glove about a mile away from Nancy Guthrie's home on Campbell Avenue, which is a busy street that connects to Nancy's neighborhood. This type of clue could ultimately offer critical DNA evidence. And if you look at the Nest Cam video from Nancy's front door, you could see the masked figure wearing dark gloves. This morning, Fox News saw a Pima County forensic team searching brush on the side of Campbell Avenue, which is where the glove was found. Some of the agents were taking pictures, and over the past few days, we have repeatedly seen local and federal agents scouring the area around Nancy and daughter Annie Guthrie's homes.
Now, I caution about the enthusiasm that has arisen from the discovery of these gloves. Is it possible that they're involved? Sure, and they will diligently, the FBI will diligently examine those for DNA and any possibility. They'll be comparing.
You mentioned the glove that I guess there's a turf war over. between the sheriff and the FBI. Was that the glove that was found on the side of the road? Or are you talking about a...
My law enforcement sources, and other people have reported this too, was more than one glove was found in that area a mile or so from the Guthrie house. So if there were two gloves found there, and then there's one glove here, and the guy has two hands, one of these gloves isn't the glove that person was wearing. So I have no idea what glove is inside the house and which glove, if any, which glove was worn by the kidnapper.
So that's how we got our brand new, big, bad spokesperson of the year, Mr. 75-year-old Harvey Levin. Harvey Levin is handling this case just like TMZ. Remind me of the one when he was interviewing Kanye West and how they were controlling the narrative, controlling how it go. It's the same exact thing. I just can't figure out why they picked Harvey. Harvey telling us who a suspect, who not a suspect, how much Bitcoin deposited in this wallet, how much not in this wallet, was a ransom paid, wasn't it paid, where they could be going to, how far it could take to come back. Man, Harvey became the jizz of this case. And without Harvey, it seemed like this case in trouble. Because Savannah and them just sitting around crying like they know something we don't know. So I ain't sure. Maybe the feds know what they're doing. Maybe Harvey is a fed. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. So could Harvey answer that question? I want to know that. Answer that for me, Harvey. Is TMZ part of the FBI, CIA, DEA, NSA? Now let's get to these gloves. The gloves first was reported on the news outlets. They said one glove. The image they showed us of that glove looked fresh out of box. That glove like it never been near a hand, been touched by a hand. They threw that glove with some tongs. There ain't no hand touched that glove. The other issue is Harvey come out of nowhere saying it's 2 gloves. Then Harvey said it's 3 gloves. So we don't know how many gloves it is. But what stuck out to me about Harvey mentioning the gloves, that Harvey was the same one covering the OJ trial. Bombshell evidence in the OJ trial was the gloves. Can't make this up. We still got the same old grainy footage. We can't get color in or audio in or none of that, and we still have no name, no guess, no guesstimation of who this person is. We had our first red herring in the case when they arrested the delivery driver, and they said the reason they picked him up and searched his house and everything is because his eyes. How can you see his eyes in a black and white video? Unless you got some other video you ain't showing us that's in color.
In the letter, it says they would return her back to Tucson. So they also give a time frame of how long it would take after they received the money to return her to Tucson. If you look at the time frame, then you say, well, you can draw a circle around Tucson to see how long maximum it would take to get her back there. This is Tucson right here. If you look at this red circle, that is the radius of the maximum amount of time it would take to get her back to Tucson.
Now report that TMZ has just been sent a third letter. Please explain and describe what you got about 90 minutes ago.
So an hour and a half ago, we got kind of a bizarre letter, an email from somebody who says they know who the kidnapper is and that they have tried reaching Savannah's sister Annie and Savannah's brother to no avail. And they said they want 1 Bitcoin sent to a Bitcoin address that we have confirmed is active. It's a real Bitcoin address. As they put it, time is more than relevant. So we have no idea whether this is real or not, but they are making a demand. It's interesting that, you know, Bitcoins fluctuate in value, but it's around $56,000 now. Well, whoever sent this, and they actually give a name, and an email address, but whoever sent this is asking for around that amount via Bitcoin for information that they say leads directly to the person.
Let's take it a step at a time here, Harvey. Take me back to the original letter. I believe you were the one who said whoever wrote that letter, I don't think you used the word meticulous, but I'll use that word, suggesting that the grammar was right, the letter was very specific about the request and the demands. Does this letter have the same form that you saw the first time around?
No, and I don't think this person is purporting to be that person.
Okay.
This person is purporting to be someone who probably wrote that first letter. If the FBI's operating theory is right, that they are going on the assumption that the person who wrote this note took Nancy. And so they're not saying they're the kidnappers. They're saying they know who the kidnapper is and will give that information up for 1 Bitcoin.
Okay.
And again, we looked at this address. It's a pretty bold thing that the address is real.
Okay, there were 2 other Arizona affiliates in Tucson, KGUN9 and another one. Did they also receive this same note? Or do you know?
I don't know. We haven't talked to them.
All right, now, Harvey,
just, Bill, we've sent this on to the FBI already.
Late last night, there was a Bitcoin address that had $6 million deposited in it. I don't know if that's real or a ruse, but I'm sure you know of it. When you looked at that address, did it match what you saw in letter number 1 from several days ago?
I am not comfortable commenting on this.
Okay, so then it's possible that the Bitcoin address that was requested turned out to be this particular one. And that would
I wouldn't read anything. I wouldn't read anything into this.
Okay, so if the suggestion that money was paid may not necessarily be the case. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Nothing was deposited into the Bitcoin account. We've been checking that all day. Nothing's been deposited. But he goes on to say that the reason he wants the Bitcoin is because he will become, the way he put it, he'd be labeled a national rat. And that on top of that, he fears a retaliation and that he needs to lay low, go underground, and he needs money to survive, during that time. And that's why he's asking for this Bitcoin. There are some ominous things in this letter, but he ends it by saying this is his second and last attempt. But he says he's definitive here that he can lead authorities to the kidnapper, and he's very clear on that.
Well,
again, no deposit was made today.
Okay. When you watch the camera video that was sent out yesterday, does it make sense for you as to why the FBI would give you this image and that image, but they would not give us the image of the camera being ripped away? And based on some inside reporting, it's been suggested that whoever was standing in front of that door took the doorbell camera with them. It seems to me if they were familiar with that house, they would have known there was a camera there when they approached it. And this whole idea about taking these flowers and sticking over the camera lens, it seems a little foolhardy to me. And if you're right about the initial letter, that they were so careful in the way they constructed the letter itself, this wouldn't match the meticulous nature of that first individual. How do we make sense of that, Harvey?
You see it exactly the way I see it. I could not agree with you more the way you put it, that just the thought that went into this letter doesn't match the thought of somebody coming up fully disguised, knowing that they don't want to be seen, and not even thinking, gee, people have these cameras on their door. You don't have to even have cased her door or property to just make an assumption that she may well have a camera like that, and you should be ready to somehow block it. Have a piece of cardboard, have something to immediately block it. And this person walks up almost surprised that there is a camera there, and then walks over and stoops down in the garden area, grabs some shrubs. I agree with you. It just does not align.
Let me ask you an uncomfortable question. Do we know the status of the relationship between Annie and her husband?
And Annie and who?
Her husband.
Look, no. And look, I know why you're asking this, and let's just put it on the table. There have been all sorts of, reports, especially on social media. People are talking about who it could be. I have absolutely no basis to even raise that. And I'm not saying it's true or not true, but I've done checking the way everybody else has, and so far I just don't have any information to give it credibility or shoot it down.
Okay, let me ask another uncomfortable question since we're in this area here. They have not told us after the garage door closed where the son-in-law went. And the sheriff was very careful not to say who dropped her off, but it's been reported that it was the son-in-law. And is there any reporting after that they've been able to track where that vehicle went when they left her home, assuming they did?
I'm not privy to that information. I don't know. I'm only going to say what I know, and I just don't know.
Okay.
That's in the air. Also, they was arguing the point of we have no proof of life. So without the proof of life, they aren't willing to send any money. So they were saying, I don't know what they expect, but they weren't willing to see a video because it can be tampered. It can be AI. So with that same thought in hand, why aren't the notes, all the ransom notes, why aren't they AI? Why isn't the footage that we seeing? That could be AI. It's like everything we getting and they're giving us is giving us more and more and more speculation. They don't want us to pinpoint anybody in this case. But the facts of the case is we have a botched investigation. We got a sheriff who's disagreeing with the only outside source of help he got. We got Harvey Levin once again. I don't know what he doing here. I don't even know what to call it. We just got Harvey. We just got him. He here. He present. Raise his hand. Still no suspect. It's brand new evidence here. Look this way. Look that way. But since they want to play, act like they can't give us nothing in color, nothing we could readily identify. Stay tuned right here.